Hello again, everyone. We are Gaming by Gaslight, and welcome back to the Cursed Temple in Curse of the Dead Gods. When we last left off, I don't really want to talk about that last episode. It was just a comedy of errors, though I guess I did get a couple of good parries in there, so I guess I can give myself that much. It's also another extra special Gaming by Gaslight Insomnia Edition episode of Curse of the Dead Gods. Though, to be honest, this one's less insomnia and more, I've been lazy, and I have a bunch of stuff to get done before tomorrow morning, and, you know, including recording some videos. You know, Gaslight, you knew you had to save one of them. A little, carried away there, I think. Unless... you know, it was a nice dream that I was going to get a heavy weapon from that, but doesn't always happen. And, I mean, I should know by now, of course, that only heavy weapons can smash walls, but you never know. I mean, a good hearty shield bash could carry you through, maybe, possibly. Actually, you know what? Well, I'm not sure if that would by itself be a good emblem, but maybe in combination, like if it did something else. You know, having an emblem that allowed you to excuse me, sir. Yeah, that let your lighter weapons work more like heavy weapons. Ooh. Really thought that fellow was gonna hit me for a second there. But I should have known better. Wells, wells, wells. I'd have to kill 60 enemies for that to pay for itself. That would also curse us right now. But we're gonna get cursed anyway. Before the end of this floor, that is. So you know what? Why not? Let's give this a try, see what happens. I mean, we are going for our basic, boring spear build, but... hey, you know what? The point of playing video games is to have fun. I mean, I'm not some, you know, god speedrunner person who's, you know, trying to, like, exploit the game to its absolute limit in order to beat the game as quickly as possible, or, you know, whatever stuff speedrunners do, which, I mean... beating the game as fast as possible is basically the definition of what speedrunning is, so I kind of got that the first time. Oh dear. Oh, that worked out nicely. Though, you know what? It did occur to me just now. I did not get... yeah, I had not... excuse me a second, good sir. Yeah, I've got to actually hit them. The poison is a trap. It lures you into thinking you're going to be all, you know, sunshine and lollipops and everything. But then you remember, oh yeah, because it's poison, it doesn't actually trigger the effect of the spear. I still figure that it should be adjusted at some point, just because it's kind of... it's kind of a frustrating mechanic. I ever make it so that poison weapons can't have those modifiers. Or, you know, make it so that as long as you've hit an enemy once... I don't think I got the corruption removed for that because he died by the environment. Now that I'm not as frustrated or angered about. The obvious only anger I have comes from, yeah... that nasty, nasty habit of poison not doing it. Or I'm trying to think to myself how exactly, like, if I were coding it, because, you know, I dabble a little, just a little bit in coding in my spare time. Because I like that sort of thing. And, you know, maybe I secretly, have ambitions of one day getting good enough to make my own game. I mean, I've prototyped ideas before, but one of my ever big problems is that I have a tendency to start an idea, but then, you know, something else exciting catches my eye, and then I start tinkering with, you know, some other concept, and then, you know, I make some progress on that, but then something else catches my eye, and you know, it's not great, but I'm just a hobbyist, so I don't beat myself up about that too much, just a little bit. You know. And also, you know, for any other hobbyist-type programmers out there, if you use something like, say, Unity, there, you know, you get some free access for, well, I guess like 2 months now, to Unity Learn Premium. Learn? I said Learn, didn't I? Learn Premium. Oh, what is it? There's some other thing that's like giving away for the month of April. Which, you know, I guess we're like halfway through April by the time this video comes out. What is it? It's like the website. It's like some kind of learning type thing. Normally costs money, but for the month of April it is free, and it covers topics beyond just like, you know, video game programming or stuff like that. So, you know, interesting stuff there. Figured I would just casually mention that for, you know, anyone who is into programming in any way. You know, whether just as a hobby or maybe because you're looking to improve your skills in, I don't know, maybe you even already work in some kind of IT type profession and you just want to sharpen your skills while, you know, we're all sitting around here in this whole pandemic world that we live in. And, yeah, anyway, yeah, I don't know. Don't really know where I'm going with this whole line of dialogue, though. If I can kind of maybe editorialize a little here. I've noticed, at least here in Canada, and maybe this is because our country is apparently dealing with this whole virus in a I don't know if I want to say better than average, because that's probably not true, but we're handling it at least better than our neighbor to the south. Which, you know, for all my American viewers, you have my condolences. I hope you're safe and, you know, taking care. Because, you know, the news I hear... No, Gaslight, you fool! The news I hear coming from south of the border is not exactly encouraging. So, you know, Godspeed and all that. But, anyway. Yeah. I think the funny thing that's probably gonna end up happening with this, also it occurs to me I did more damage in the dark, so I don't know why I did that. But I did. Oh, Gaslight, you foolish goose. And then, yeah, letting that happen. Getting a little distracted here. But I think the funny thing about this whole virus is that inevitably what's going to happen, and you know this to be true, is I think part of the reason we've been doing so well up here is because we do have a fairly robust and fairly well followed social distancing and, you know, just general lockdown type procedures for this kind of scenario. And inevitably what's going to happen is because we've done so well, people are going to be like, oh, this was overblown, blah, 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 blah. You know, Trudeau secretly trying to take over the government, or, you know, whatever. Whatever BS conspiracy theory the crazies are spouting today. And trust me, I know, because I have the dubious honor of being related to people who buy into those BS, like, right-wing conspiracy theories. Maybe I should be focusing a bit more on playing the games that have, you know, going on about real-world stuff, because apparently I am getting distracted and approaching... Well, I'm half dead. I'm probably fine. But anyway, you know, like... because not a lot of people are dying to this virus, we're probably going to get a lot of people who are going to, you know, act like the quarantine procedures and all that weren't necessary, and they're going to go on about how, you know, whatever. Well done. That was actually well done, though. But, you know, it's like that with any crisis situation, isn't it? If the government or whoever is responsible implements an appropriate and, you know, rigorous kind of response, and it ends up not being as bad as initially predicted, then you got all the crazy people and conspiracy theorists and whoever, you know, going on about how, oh, there was nothing to worry about, and there's all some, you know, global Jewish, gay, communist plot to take over the world or steal our guns or whatever. Not even America up here, and they're still going on about stealing guns. Anyway. Yeah. Don't do conspiracy theories, kids, is what I'm getting at in all this. You may think it, you know, reading a conspiracy theory or two online is harmless, but it's not. Like, and I'm not even joking about that. Apparently there's actually studies that show that reading conspiracy theories can in fact make you more susceptible to falling for conspiracy theories. Though I also hear, I mean, the people who are apparently susceptible to believing in crazy conspiracy theories are people who, like, they're not even bad people, they're just lonely, or like people who want to feel like they know something that other people don't, you know? They want to feel special. Well done, Gaslight. Which, you know, like, what was it? Like flat earthers, apparently. You know, I remember, reading some stuff not that long ago about them, and like apparently a big part of why people get into flat earth communities is just because it's a community that they can, you know, they can feel part of something. And from, I mean, from that perspective, I guess you kind of have to feel a little sympathy for, you know, but then again, you know, and then you get like the anti-vaxxer conspiracy theorists, and, you know, like their beliefs are like genuinely a threat to public health, and I don't know. Also, hang on a second here. Huh. Oh, right. I heal 15% of the gold offering, so... Alright, that's pretty good. Though my play has not been so good, so I do apologize for that as I get off on this side tangent of real-world issues and pandemic response-y stuff and conspiracy theories and all that. I don't know. Late at night, and... you know, as I, I'm at, it's a time of day where my mind, I feel a bit more, confident, I guess apparently the more I'm falling asleep. Damn. With, not censoring myself. Because, like, I don't like, starting arguments with people, and because I do have family members who kind of buy into some really sketchy stuff, I know, you know, like, there's a certain sense of, I guess, sadness, disappointment maybe, when, you know, people that you know and love and that you generally consider are fairly smart believe in stuff that you just know is kind of, well, BS, and yet they believe it. And no matter how many studies, no matter how many actual, like, factual bits of data you provide, they will never, ever change their mind or admit that they may not be right. Which I guess, you know, that's probably another problem is, you know, people don't like to admit they're wrong. It's easier to double down on BS than it is to, you know, stop, critically think, and go, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Which, like, and I say that knowing full well that I, like most people, am that way myself. I have a hard time admitting when I'm wrong. And, you know, that there is always, like, a real temptation to just double down on what you already believe in, rather than changing your beliefs. Oh, come on, I hit... I'm actually not entirely sure what I did there, to be honest with you. Like, I thought I had parried, but I must have... I don't know, did the bats get me? Surely not. No, my combo. What little combo I had. Also thinking that, sticking with this, this poison spear hasn't... Really? That was just the first wave, or the second wave? Oh god. Why did I think that was something I could even do? I mean, I know at this point that I can parry them. But, I was not in a position to do so, was I? But, rather than admit I was wrong, I doubled down and kept trying to do stuff that I knew I... Oh geez, and I have only 80 health. So, I should probably buy something. Alright. We're probably going to die anyway, so might as well, like, really, double down here. You know what? Maybe I'm doubling down too much. Come on, give me a... Oh, geez, this is our last chance, and there's still nothing. Still nothing. Oh, well, I'll go with this. It's the best I'm gonna get. I'll be honest with you. I am, like, genuinely spending more brain power focusing on talking right now than I am on playing, and that's probably not the best idea for a multitude of reasons, especially since I feel I'm probably, you know, dealing with sensitive and controversial subject matter. But you know what? I am gonna apparently keep doubling down on that. But anyway, where was I? Just... Right, the difficulty in admitting that you're wrong. And how I am no different than other people. And yet, I guess also at the same time, it's kind of hard in the heat of the moment to acknowledge flaws. Like, even if you're right, if you're using faulty logic to, or, you know, emotional arguments rather than, you know, evidence-based logic, or, well, then again, I don't know. I feel sometimes making an emotional argument is the valid course of action. Like, not all the time, but... Like, I'm specifically saying, like, if you want to make an argument about, say, improving the lives of people, I mean, there is a logical argument to that, because if you do improve the lives of people, you generally improve society. There is lots of evidence supporting this hypothesis. And also, humans are emotional creatures, so, you know, using emotion is, perhaps, one could argue, sometimes, oh dear, the logical course, because, again, humans being emotional creatures, sometimes it's easier to reach people through an emotional argument than it is through a logical one. In fact, it's oftentimes through emotion that people end up, you know, getting themselves into those situations where they just keep doubling down on a bad ideology, even if deep down they know that the ideology that they are following is wrong, morally or legally or logically or whatever else. And, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is like how how do you reach people sometimes, you know, when, like, you see someone, especially someone you care about, who, is maybe, you know, getting themselves deeper and deeper into a harmful ideology that, on the surface might seem good, but... Oh shoot, no, I didn't mean to do that. Apparently my buttons are getting extra sensitive. Oh well, that's okay, I suppose. I think I'll hold on to the perception. Do I really need it? Not really. Alright, I actually am really glad I grabbed that now, because apparently that extra dexterity is just what I needed in order to make this weapon pop. But having said that, yeah, this spear doesn't remove corruption. I'm thinking, or shield rather. That was the shield I was using previously. I mean, that is a good weapon. Not gonna take it this time, though. I mean, I do like the idea of removing more corruption. Especially where we're at. But you know what, on the other hand, I mean, what is 2 corruption at the end of the day, right? Or 2 levels of curse. It's not a big deal. We can easily... Yeah, and I mean, we don't even have any fire-based attacks right now. So this oven could, potentially make things a little, spicy. And a little bit of spice is never a bad thing. Until it is, of course. Okay. Oh, Gaslight, what the hell were you thinking? Answer. Yes. No. Okay. We're no longer removing corruption, but now every time we kill an enemy, we get healed a little bit. And also, this weakens enemies on a finisher, so... Alright, this is definitely, without question, been one of my weaker runs, but the fact that I somehow am still alive in all of this... The moral, I think, though, of this story is that I probably shouldn't get, or put all my focus on discussing the real world when I should be focusing on the game. But then again, you know what? I do like talking about real world issues from time to time. That's tempting. Honestly, I'd rather more dexterity at this point, though this would save us from death, and we also would heal a chunk of this. But then again, I mean, what's it? Well, yeah, you know what the hell. I'm just blowing cash on this run. Which, you know, frankly, it's actually not that terrible. It's not great, but then again, we don't have a relic, and we also blew all our rerolls looking for a spear early in the game, which is something I have previously indicated is a bad idea, and that you should not do that. Shit! Oh, come on! Not gonna let me dodge? And that was another example of, you know, I was trying a little too hard to keep my combo from breaking. When what I should have been focusing on was... Oh, you're not going to go into dark mode yet, huh? Alright. There you go. That's what I like to see. Then tap you with just the tippity top of the spear. You fool. You foolish fool. You don't realize that you're playing directly into my hands with that move. Most of the time, anyway. Perfection. All right. Anyway. So, I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's something I do want to kind of get back here on for a second is, I do hope all of you out there are doing okay in these crazy times. But I think the important thing, of course, to remember as well is that, you know, this'll pass. I mean, that goes without saying. Humanity has withstood a lot, and I'm sure we're still going to withstand a lot more. And frankly, maybe this is just my naive optimist side showing, but I genuinely believe that, you know, this whole situation in the world could be an excellent opportunity, you know, for us to all, you know, like after this whole thing passes, that the lessons we could learn from here, from this whole situation, like about, you know, maybe we need to change how we run the global economy because it's vulnerable to stuff like this. You know, maybe having better social safety nets and international standards and practices in order to, you know, rapidly respond to issues of this magnitude. No. Stamina recover. And, you know, stuff like that. And part of the reason I bring this up is because I've been reading a rather disturbing number of really pessimistic articles as of late. Oh yeah, I did decide to take that, didn't I? +9 Constitution. I mean, it doesn't give me anything else. Like, you know, articles like, oh, can globalism survive this pandemic, and, you know, how the coronavirus is going to lead to a new wave of isolationism. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, given just how many stories there have been of, like, international cooperation just, like, so far in order to deal with this crisis, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, who's writing these articles? You know, like, if anything, I would actually dare say that this situation, this, oh dear, this crisis, if you will, has revealed the importance of, you know, our global society more than ever. Since, you know, a situation like this happens and everyone's got to pitch in, give what they can, provide what aid they can, you know, like, oh, like here's a Canada relevant thing I was reading lately. You know, like, apparently our conservative opposition party was criticizing the current Liberal government about having sent medical supplies to China, like, you know, early on in this whole crisis. And, you know, the obvious reason for that is that by giving, you know, back when China was still, like, the epicenter of this whole thing, you know, giving supplies to them to help them deal with the crisis, ultimately, I mean, it didn't just benefit China, it benefited Canada, because by helping to contain the pandemic early, before it was even, you know, being recognized as before it was even a pandemic, I guess is what I'm trying to say, it helped. I mean, I'd like to think that long-term what it did was it helped limit the potential exposure later, you know? If we all work together, we get on top of a problem before it balls out of control, and, yeah. You know, and other, kind of things in that general, like, you know, along that kind of line of thinking here is, if we all work together, the world becomes a better place. You know, we divide the labor, we shoulder the burdens together, you know, and then we all get to enjoy the fruits of said labor. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I watched too much classic Star Trek as a kid, and frankly now as an adult, believing in, you know, these silly utopian ideas of a world where people can put aside their prejudices and differences and stuff in order to work together in common cause. But damn it, if you don't believe that the world can be better, if you don't believe that people can be better, then what the hell is the point? I guess, like, if you take anything from my incoherent rambling this episode, let it be that. You know, we're all in this together. Be good to one another. Don't spend all your time looking for enemies where there are none. Or making enemies where enemies don't have to exist, frankly, for that matter. I don't know. Like I said, I have no illusions that I'm anything but a naive optimist. You know, believing in silly fantasy ideas of people working together and not being awful to one another, but like I said, if you don't dream, if you don't believe in possibilities, man, my reaction time is off, then nothing will ever change, you know? And that's the thing that really, like, if I, you know, go off on another tangent here, really angers me. There's nothing I hate more than people who are like, oh, well, that's just the way it is, in, you know, in response to any problem in society. It's like, oh, you know, we can't change things because, you know, it's always been that way and it's always gonna be that way and blah, blah, blah. You know, if people thought that, we would still be cowering in caves, you know, whenever the sun went away and, you know, like making, like sacrificing goats so that, you know, the dawn would come or whatever. You know, we'd be still afraid of lightning. But god damn it, mankind has triumphed over these, you know, old fears and superstitions. I mean, for the most part. Humanity's still a work in progress. But, you know, the point I'm getting at here is, like, we've sent people into space, we've dived to the bottom of the ocean, you know, relatively speaking, and we can fly in giant metallic contraptions that, you know, our ancestors would have never in a million years been able to conceive. You know, we've figured out sanitation, we've conquered disease, we're able to completely reshape our environment to match our needs. Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised I got that parry there. Like, there is literally nothing humanity cannot do if we put our minds to it. You know what, maybe that's the one lesson you should take from all this rambling. Like, humanity, for all our flaws, for all our weaknesses, for all our silly superstitions and prejudices, we are still pretty damn awesome. Quite frankly. And you'll never be able to convince me of otherwise. Because, you know, you just need to look to history. Every tyrant has sooner or later fallen. Every enemy of progress or, you know, reason or enlightenment or what have you, sooner or later they're defeated because people inherently want to be better. And I think, you know, even though we do live in a period of time that is probably more cynical than perhaps oh dear, than maybe some of the more idyllic things, kind of losing my whole inspirational speech here. It's slipping away from me. But, you know, maybe that's because I'm not keeping it concise and to the point. The classic, oh, right. The classic enemy of any good speech is not knowing when to shut up. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. Guess that's, this whole episode is just me getting some stuff off my chest. So, if you've stuck through it so far, then, how long has this episode been going? Almost 40 minutes, and I'm pretty sure most of it has been me ranting about real-world things to some extent or another. And I do kind of apologize for that, because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all here to, you know, just have a good time, and, you know, there's a time and a place for figuring out how to save the world. But, you know, just every now and then slipping a little real talk in there is probably not hurting anyone. Hopefully. Yeah, so let's focus on bringing this run home, shall we? Oop. Alright, that was actually semi-well done. While we're waiting, let's see. It's not a bad weapon. I don't think it's worth replacing what we've got right now. I'm also thinking to myself, alright, I kind of want to take you out first. Though I'm always split between whether I should see the Jaguar as my greatest nemesis, or something like the Shaman there. I guess it really just depends on the situation. Because the Jaguar... well, I guess the thing is that they both have the potential for attacking from a fair degree of range. That's always something to be a little concerned about. I like also that this run has been really excuse me, let me try that again. It's been really rewarding me for spending a lot of money. Because the last couple of runs, I've really been spending a lot of time hoarding it, haven't I? Well, we're getting somewhere. Oop. And escape. And then let our stamina generate. Alright, we got a couple of bad guys out of our way. Fortunately, there goes my combo, which is also the source of a lot of my strength. That's kind of unfortunate. Yeah, I'm also kind of thinking to myself, this big solar light, and I may regret saying this, but compared to, oh, that actually hit me. I figured, I mean, I should have known. It was a big spinning area of effect attack, but I wanted to believe that because I was behind him, I would be somehow safe. But anyway, getting back to the big lantern boy. It, I don't know, it just kind of gets me that his attack is basically, well then again, I was gonna, shouldn't think too hard. Like, his attack is basically the same as his regular version. But then again, so is the champion or elite skeleton. His attack is basically the same as well. So, yeah. I mean, I guess the point I'm getting at here is maybe not all elite enemies need some, you know, fancy special version of, or new attack set. Because sometimes the plain Jane vanilla attack set is enough to get the job done. Also, what does this do? Increases our agreed kill limit, or the time limit, rather. That's useful. I mean, honestly, we might. Ah, bullocks. I mean, I have only myself to blame for that, I realize. As tempting as it is to find someone or something else to blame, you can't do it. I mean, you can. I mean, hell, there's grown adults people in positions of responsibility and power in this world who are literally, as we speak, probably, you know, trying to blame other people for their own incompetence. You know who I'm talking about. And the beautiful part about being vague like that is I could literally be talking about anyone. Because, you know, at any given time in the world, there's more than a few grown adults who are shirking responsibility or trying to pass the buck on to someone else. Which actually, funny thing about that, as we continue our theme of this episode about dealing with real world stuff, is, yeah. The people who tend to go on the loudest about, oh, you need to take personal responsibility for your choices and blah, 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 blah. They tend to be the sort, could you, thank you. The sort who actually are the quickest to try to, avoid responsibility themselves. Which actually kind of reminds me of, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but it kind of got me thinking a little and reflecting on, you know, my own beliefs and positions on things. Is I was reading, it was just some random comment on some article or something I was reading online that posited the idea that those who tend to moralize the loudest and the most and what have you tend to be the ones who are the most likely to be guilty of the kind of moral dalliances. Oh, come on, I rolled. Did I actually get stuck on the Baron, and that's why I took damage there? That is some horse hockey there, I says. Now we're left with an interesting predicament here, as we have to decide, do we take the weapon that is ever so slightly stronger and give up our healing, or do we keep our healing? And the answer is we go with the slightly stronger weapon, because of course if we can actually kill our enemies faster, then the odds of taking damage go down. At least that's always been my logic. It's why I generally tend to play fairly aggressively in video games. Though maybe I play aggressively in video games because I am releasing pent-up frustrations at my general impotence in my real life. Who knows? I mean, better than, you know, taking out your aggression by, you know, being violent to other people. And I'd have to stop playing video games forever entirely if they ever created video games where the enemies you're fighting actually have real thoughts and feelings. Though frankly, I can't imagine, like, even if the technology to do that became available, I can't imagine anyone would genuinely program, you know, enemies, like in a video game, that can actually think and feel and have dreams, and I hate myself for that one. Well played, Gaslight. This whole episode has been a big ol' comedy of errors. Oh, you know what? Now I think I just remembered where, some of my, nope, thought I had it, but I can't actually recall specifically where some of the inspiration for some of this rambling has come from. I mean, I guess that's also why, maybe I don't know. This is my equivalent of a heated gamer moment, you know. Some people start shouting racial profanities. I start ranting about real world injustice and you know, ouch, and the issues facing society at large. The joke, or I guess the real trick there is there was a time I really didn't pay attention to, you know, like politics or real world issues or anything like that. And some could argue I was a happier man back then. Because frankly, since I've started at least attempting to like read up on, you know, what's going on in the world, I find myself a lot angrier. And it's like, it's not like constructive anger either. It's like impotent rage that comes from knowing that I don't have the power or resources to actually fix any of the problems in the world. And I would like to think it's not like some kind of weird misplaced, I don't know, messiah complex or something. But, you know, just like, I don't know. It feels to me like how, I guess, you know, once you know that the world of your childhood, you know, the innocent place where, you know, adults were all good and intelligent and responsible people, when you grow up and realize that that world doesn't actually exist, and that there's a lot of people out there who are basically glorified children, you know, ouch. And, yeah, I don't know, it's hard. But I suppose the first step to maybe addressing, you know, if you see something that you don't like in the world, is to just talk about it. Because then at least you're doing something. You can, you know, share your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your suggestions, your criticisms, just your, you know, empty, impotent rage with someone. And by doing that, it makes things a little bit better, you know? Communication is key. Never, I guess, important lesson that perhaps we can all learn from these trying times. Which is also, you know, something like I personally kind of get a nice warm, fuzzy feeling from every time I read a story. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. About how, you know, just like the little things of like communities coming together and like doing just, you know, silly little things together, you know, in the face of this whole pandemic. Though then again, there's also lots of stories less uplifting, but you know what? Sometimes, yeah, you gotta take the small victories in life, like this one right here. So with that in mind,